Hello everyone. Today I'm following in the footsteps of the pilgrims of the past. I'm visiting Ynys Llanddwyn, just off the coast of Ynys Môn, northwest Wales. This is a beautiful scenic landscape and an important habitat that supports a variety of wildlife. It's an important cultural and historical site too, associated with Ynys Dwynwen, the Welsh patron saint of lovers, and this was her former home, where she's believed to have lived as a hermit. Dwynwen's feast day is the 25th of January, and I suppose that this is the Welsh equivalent of St. Valentine's Day. Now, Ynys Llanddwyn is a tidal island, so inaccessible when the tide's in, but I was fortunate to have made it across today. And this was a very popular pilgrim site in the Middle Ages, and to some extent it even went up until the 18th century. There was believed to have been a statue of Dwynwen here, as well as several holy wells and a church dedicated to Dwynwen, which is now in ruin. So Dwynwen was believed to have lived in or around the 5th century, the daughter of the very famous Brychan or Brychan Urdd, and Dwynwen appears as one of Brychan's many children in some very old genealogies, and her name is actually just attested as Dwyn in the oldest. The Wen element then means something like blessed. Dwynwen is notably memorialised in verse by the well-known bard Dafydd ap Gwilym in the 14th century. In the poem, the poet imagines himself praying before Dwynwen's statue, near the throng of her petitioners. He refers to her delw aur, her golden statue, or maybe he just means golden image, and also tells us nid oes glefyd na bryd brwyn a ynddo o Llanddwyn, meaning that there is no sickness or depression that can go with him from Llanddwyn. Let's hope that's true for me today. Okay, so we're about to enter the ruined Eglwys Dwynwen, the Church of Dwynwen. These visible remains are from a 15th or 16th century church, interestingly with a cruciform floor plan, which is meant to be quite rare for this area. As early as 1742, Eglwys Dwynwen was reported as being in ruins, and the stone was probably plundered for the other structures on the island that I'll be visiting a bit later on. Eglwys Dwynwen was excavated in 2011, and earlier iterations of the church were discovered, and it seems that it had earlier been a medieval priory. It would have been a very profitable site from the revenue from all the pilgrims, but that would have changed in the Reformation, and presumably the church went into decline after that. Now the story of Dwynwen, I suppose, is quite mysterious. The full legend only comes down to us quite late. One of the main sources is the Iolo manuscript, so often taken with a pinch of salt. But the story there goes something like this. Dwynwen loved someone called Maelon Dafodrich, who loved her back. But Dwynwen upset Maelon by rejecting something referred to as an unappropriated union, for which Maelon left her in animosity, causing Dwynwen extreme sorrow. And one night, while alone in the woods, she prayed to God to cure her of her love. And God appeared to Dwynwen and gave her a delicious liquor, which cured Dwynwen of her love sickness. She watched as the same liquor was administered to Maelon, but he became frozen in a lump of ice. God then gave 3 choices to Dwynwen, and with those choices, she wished for Maelon to be unfrozen, the second that her supplications be granted in favour of all true-hearted lovers, and the third that she never wished to be married. The 3 requests were granted to Dwynwen, whereupon she took the veil and became a saint, and every faithful lover, who subsequently invoked her, was either relieved from his passion, or obtained the object of his affection. There are 2 old lighthouses on the island, and this actually marks the western entrance to the Menai Strait. This one, Tŵr Mawr, has a taper design a bit like the windmills of Ynys Môn. It's believed to have been constructed in the early 19th century. This was actually a location in a 2004 Hollywood film called Half Light. In the distance is the smaller Tŵr Bach, believed to be a slightly older lighthouse. Now the island is basically deserted today, but in a not too distant past, there were 4 or 5 crofting families here, judging by field remains. Families that are also associated with these pilot cottages. The houses were built before 1830, and would also have housed the lighthouse keeper, the lifeboat men, as well as the pilots. And those in the distance, across the water, are mynyddoedd Eryri, Snowdonia in English. Now this is Merddin Keel. I could only find this holy well on the island. There are meant to have been a few. Pilgrims would have of course come here and would have washed in the water. And it's very overgrown today. Couldn't even see any of the water. Anyway, it's been an absolutely fascinating trip today, and if you have the chance to come here, I would definitely encourage you to do so.